Hi everyone, welcome back. I just finished reading this book, written. I highly recommend it for anyone that loves technology, science, biographies, um, or just reading a good book. Um, of course, history buffs as well. Um, it is an interesting book, not just about the man himself, but uh, truly about the the science that changed the course of World War II. It is a big chunk of the history of cryptography. So let me show you a few things. And before I do, I just want to show you that I want to just go over a bit about what I will showcase today. And of course, everything will have a link on the YouTube on this YouTube episode. You'll see how you could create one program that can work against another. And at the same time, what I want to show you is also how you can layer your functions on images. So I'm sure you might like that, and you can create some great apps with some great image backgrounds. And so let's begin.
So I've Googled this a bit just to show you what what I get. So Alan Turing is considered the father of computer science, and he's also considered the father of artificial intelligence. There's some others who are also considered the father of AI. Um, but here in general, he's had some key contributions, as we could see here. The obviously theoretical model of computation, decision problems, and obviously cryptanalysis and artificial intelligence. Theoretical computer science was one of the big ones as well here. So he's really provided some very key contributions. If we want to see if this was a great impact for the war, and absolutely it was, which is the consensus we're getting if you search for this if you Google it. And yes, it in fact uh, advises that historians estimated that this shortened the war by 2 to 4 years and probably potentially saving millions of lives. And you could see there's been quite a few impacts that are broken down here. And let's dive straight into the final product, and then I'll show you a bit about the code and a bit about the files that I posted on my GitHub space. So let's close that. Now, I've set both applications as executables. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the Enigma one first. Oops, so we'll open the executable one first, and then we will open the Turing one next. So here we have it, the Enigma machine and the Turing machine. And one thing that you would uh, right off the bat realize, of course, we've got some nice images here. And yes, the thing that I want to show you is how the functionalities have been layered on these images. The images are all .pngs. Sorry, they're all .jpgs. And let's begin by creating a sentence in the Enigma machine and we're going to see if the Turing machine can break the code. We have the rotors at the bottom here. So right now it's by default it's set to AAA. And let's put a sentence. So I love to eat pizza. Let's set up the rotors here to B, C, D. So we could see they've now been set to BCD. The rotors were part of the Enigma machine, where essentially they would insert rotors, and there's a circuit that was involved with it. That was like a closed loop when certain rotors are set up in certain ways, and they would then it would also I believe later models. Now again, I'm not a uh, an expert on the machine, um, but later models had some electric wires that would be plugged in, much like um, in the old days where you had telephone um, uh, when one person would call another person, and you had telephone attendants that would actually do the switch on the boards. So essentially switchboard operators back in the days. And so one would work in coordination with, so the cables would be switched in coordination with the rotors. Uh, so here we've entered, I love to eat pizza. We've set up the rotors, so BCD, and now we want to cipher the text. Sorry, we want to encrypt actually. Um, So here's our ciphered text, and it's V T Y G W M H K M Z G T K I V. So now we want to break the cipher, and we have a pop-up. So BCD, we'll scroll down a bit, and here we have it. I love to eat pizza. We could see that none of the others are in English, so this is the obvious one. And we know that the position of the rotor is BCD. So essentially, what's happened here is that our Turing machine has broken the Enigma code. And this is really a recreation of history, not as precise as it could be, but this is the general idea. And this is actually quite fun. You could play around with it. Let me show you the code. And here's my GitHub repository page. So here we have the Enigma program, which is the Enigma underscore GUI underscore tkinter. and that one has the Enigma JPEG, which is the image. And then pretty simply, we have the Turing breaker. So here's the code. And we have the Turing picture as well, the .jpg. And I've also included some additional information about how the Enigma machine works, how the Turing machine works. So you have those descriptions as well. And we have the Turing, the Enigma description, how to basically use the prompts to create. So if you don't want to use the code, you could just use the prompts and have fun just creating it from scratch by yourself. So setting up the code. And this is a very simple prompt that will start you off with the Enigma machine. Now, here's what I suggest is that once that's done, that you then, in order, because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create the Turing machine script based on the ability to break the Enigma machine script. In other words, the Enigma machine code, but based on that specific script, because it needs to understand how the Enigma script was set up in order to efficiently break it as the Turing script. So here is the optimal prompt for that. And you want to create a Python script named Turing breaker. So Turing underscore breaker underscore GUI dot py with a tkinter. So tkinter is the graphical user interface library that can decrypt messages encrypted by the Enigma machine logic in Enigma GUI tkinter.py. The GUI should let users input ciphertext, optionally provide a known plain text crib, and attempt to break the cipher, etc., using rotors, plugboard. Um, that's what they were called, plugboard, for the cables. Display possible decryptions and their settings, and reuse or import. Um, so we're looking for compatibility here between the two scripts. And that is how you will be able to get your Turing script based first on building the Enigma script. So you do need to build the Enigma script first, and then the Turing script that will be dependent on how the Enigma script was set up. As usual, you can also set this up as I did as an executable. So you can have the executable on your desktop, and that is you could. I also have a repository for that. So essentially, setting it up as an executable and distributable app. And voila, that's pretty much it. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. You could break down every part of uh, the script. I do encourage you to break it down and see how it works, because these scripts, for instance, I have the Turing one right here. And you can always copy You could paste the script in your NLP and it will explain and ask it to explain what it does exactly, and it will provide you with the exact reasoning behind it. So that is a great way to learn, and you could see that these scripts are not very long. Just something I want to leave you off with. And so everything in Python is an object, essentially. That's why object-oriented programming is the name of the game. And we wanted to explain this code. So this is a great way to learn, and you don't have a lot of code here, but this will essentially understand what this does as a step-by-step explanation. And here we could see that it's actually broken this down, and it will advise you what each part of the code really means. Um, so it's a great way to learn, or you could just ask it to explain every single part of the code. So you'll just say explain the code for Enigma underscore GUI underscore take enter dot py. Yes, you need to enter it exactly the way that this file is named, and it will the embedded NLP, which is embedded in the in this case Visual Studio. It will explain by breaking down the entire code, and it will explain what every object within this code does. So great way to learn. You could use that for Enigma and Turing as well. And you can use it as well for all the other um, applications that you've seen so far. And yep, the highlight here, of course, is not just pitting one application against the other, but really I wanted to show you how you could layer your functions on top of images that you create. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to see you next time. And bye for now.